All right, hi everybody. We are Livestock Labs. Um, so we've been working on a project that involves passively and automatically weigh cattle using cameras. Kind of a weird thing, eh? Uh, so kind of to get things started, we'll kind of introduce ourselves, what we've been working on, and then our journey through Sigma, where we're at now, and then some advice we want to leave to people who are maybe hoping to go through the program. So we have the three co-founders, us. We have Alex Chen, David, me, and Luke Terry. Alex and I are both in computer engineering and computer science. Alex is currently going into his first year of his master's degree. I'm doing my last year of computer engineering. And then Luke is actually from accounting from the Edwards School of Business, also going into his final year. So if there's any business kids here, you have an opportunity here as well. So three of us have kind of been friends ever since I want to say like elementary school. We went through high school together, university together, and we've kind of been best friends ever since. And ever since we were young, we kind of knew that business was something that we wanted to pursue. That kind of showed in forms of like investing early on, reading a bunch of business-related books, watching films, just stuff like that. So here we are now. I guess not now. Then we went on to Capstone and then the G431 course. So initially this was the Capstone team. We had some original ideas bouncing around. They involved like drones, AI, honestly like 30, 40 other ideas that we honestly could not agree on. So yeah, eventually we were approached by LFCE, that's the university farm here, and then we were given the problem of weighing cattle, and they kind of suggested using cameras and computer vision to solve this issue. So as soon as we heard that kind of idea, we really latched onto it. It's a simple problem. It uses modern technology. Of course, there's AI hype. I've got to ride that. As well, Luke was always involved ever since the start of Capstone. We knew that this Capstone project should or could turn into a business, and we thought it would fit right for him to kind of be there for the whole journey, give his input, see what's going on, and keeping up with the working. So to kind of get into things of why weighing actually matters, I'm not sure how many people here have a cattle background, so I'll kind of go through some brief points to explain. So with weight, that's pretty much everything for cattle farmers. You can accurately project weight, sell times. You can detect sickness early on, reduce dwell time, and have the ability to sell private. That's a huge part as well. So these decisions are absolutely critical for cattle producers. So through Capstone, this was the solution that we proposed: a down-facing camera that passively gathers weight. Some of the features that we are expecting, and that we've heard from cattle farmers from our interviews that they would like to see, is above 90% accuracy, RFID matching, basic analytics, as well as integrating with Excel and other common herd management tools that we see in the industry today.
So after the Capstone project, it was kind of a very clear next step to try and go into the Sigma program just to stay in the university ecosystem. But that took a little bit of time. We had to apply for it. And so there was a little bit of time between the start of the program and what we actually did at the end of Capstone. So we ended up attending Startup TNT and we pitched at their top 20 night, which we couldn't get very far because we weren't incorporated, but it was a very good learning experience. And so then, we applied for the Sigma program, we got into it, and then, So it started out with a 4-day boot camp, which was essentially getting familiar with the 24 steps of the disciplined entrepreneurship textbook, as well as using their Orbit AI from MIT. So Orbit AI and the disciplined entrepreneurship textbook are a very systematic approach to starting a business. And so we learned kind of firsthand how to use these steps, how to apply them to what we were doing. I remember walking out of this boot camp every day. It was 3 hours of learning, about an hour per topic, and we're just thinking that we were so mentally drained because it was thinking in a way that we hadn't thought before, and it was just exhausting.
But in a good way.
So then one of the first things we learned when we joined the program was that talking to customers is everything. You can go out there and you can build a product and you might think that it's what people want, and at the end of the day, if it's not what people want, they're not going to pay you for it. They might not pay you what you thought, and it just doesn't work out. So that was one of the first things we learned, and one of the first things we had to do was actually reaching out to our target customers and talking to them. So at this point, we've talked to about probably 70 different farmers and producers and people in the industry, and we've learned a lot. We've got good feedback. Yeah, it was good learning, good through that. Then another big part of the program was attending different trade shows, and we got pretty lucky with the trade shows that were actually in Saskatchewan. And we got a lot of help on how to actually navigate these trade shows and how to actually get value out of them instead of just going and having a good time, having fun. We got a lot of learning and actual good experience out of these. And I think that was most evident in our Canadian Beef Industry Conference a couple weeks ago, where we by far got the most value. The first two were perfect practice for that.
So another thing that Sigma helped us a lot with was mentorship. It's really, invaluable to have people who are as experienced and as generous with their time to really sit down with you and flesh out everything about your business. If you don't know much about business, you might not realize how much of business is actually just like figuring out how you're going to execute, not just building a good product, And that's one of the things that we've really learned through Sigma. They take the time out of their day to have weekly meetings with you. And we had 3 board meetings, which is a great experience to hear things from external people as well. And then, so just mentorship is really good. So just to give you an idea of where we are at now in our business, we achieved 85% average accuracy. This was during the capstone period. And right now we're working on developing a camera to create our own better data set, because the ones we were using were not very good. And so you can come by our desk later and see if you want to see the what hardware we've been working on. As we said earlier, we're with the U of S's LFC farm. And recently we submitted proposals to ADF, which is the Agriculture Development Fund, and BCRC. So we're hoping to get good news from them about funding going forward. With these proposals, we're actually also able to get support from the Alberta Cattle Feeders Association. We got a support letter from them. We've also gotten a lot of support from the Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association. We've been meeting with all sorts of associations, stuff like that. So going forward, all 3 of us plan to continue working on this project, even though we're returning to school this fall, and then we're planning to incorporate pretty soon. So this is our timeline for where we're going. We're wanting to join an incubator pretty soon. And I won't go through everything because you can see that yourself. But we've got a lot planned and we're really excited. So just to close off a little bit, we wanted to give you guys some advice if any of you guys are out there thinking about joining the Sigma program or just thinking about entrepreneurship in general. It's really exciting. We think that as an engineer, maybe a good course of action would be G431. That's really where you come up with an idea and sort of flesh out the business side of things, whether it's feasible as a business. Take that into G495, which is the entrepreneurship capstone, where you get to actually sort of work on an implementation of that. And then Sigma, which is just more of everything before. And then after that, you can maybe think about joining an incubator like we are. Some advice that I found that I wanted to share was participate in things like this. Me and my team, we were a little bit hesitant at first. Some of you guys might be as well. Even though we knew that we wanted to do business, we didn't know any of the people in the programs. We were kind of scared to join, didn't know if it would be worth our time. But really with this sort of thing, it's, you don't really know what you don't know. And, we read a lot of business books. We thought we knew everything, but at the end of the day, knowledge is all good knowledge. And then as a founder, you sort of have to figure out what is knowledge that applies to you at that moment. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't learn and hear everything that people have to say. We already mentioned earlier, mentors help a lot. And then if people are struggling with, like, they want to start a business, but you don't know what you want to actually do. One thing that me and my team did that was really bad was we sat in our basement thinking about good business ideas and apps that we wanted to build. And we did that for a long time. And that's just the worst. Don't do that. If you want to start a business, the first thing that we would recommend is find an industry you want to work in, and then just ask them about their problems, and then figure out what you can solve for them. I think that's by far the best thing that we never knew that I would recommend. And one last thing, not really advice, but for me personally, I didn't know how much entrepreneurship would require being social and networking. I'm not naturally extroverted. I thought I would just build a good product and then people would flock to come buy it. It's not the case. Things have been a little bit overwhelming for us, actually. None of us are used to that. But so just a little warning for you guys. Do you guys have anything else?
Reach out lots as well. That was one of the things that we kind of didn't know at the beginning, was that we were expecting a lot of warm introductions, and warm introductions are good, but they can be slow at times. So just keep reaching out. It might work out for you. So that's probably it.
One last thing is we just wanted to say thank you to all the mentors that have helped us, sort of since we're closing off with Sigma now. Professor Sao, David, Tom, Amit, everyone has really helped us a lot. And we just wanted to say thank you.
Thanks very much. I just wondering if you guys noticed a little bit of what they did pick up there. This team has 3 Nazi t-shirts. So that's probably the biggest thing that we actually talked about. Next one up is we have Ryan and Jin from GBC Solutions.
You're up. Yes. Like it's not the tagging is.
Right. Good evening, everyone. We're GBC Solutions here to share our Sigma journey here today. Here's our team, a group of 2. Here's Ryan Ollie, who is the undergraduate mechanical engineering student who's going to the final year of undergrad program. And my name is Jin. I'm a master student in the chemical engineering students. Hopefully, I'm also going to the final year, aiming for graduate. Okay, now Ryan is going to talk about our project.
So going into Sigma, our main goal was to determine the viability of our project. So being that our main goal was to determine the viability of our product when we were going into Sigma. And in the end, we determined that it actually wasn't a viable product. And so this product that we were working on was a frame for a cube satellite. It was actually a capstone project that was done for the RadSat-SK project here on campus. And so during Sigma, our main focuses were market research and customer discovery. We did work on the rest of the steps for entrepreneurship as well, but our main focus was market research and customer discovery. So a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go down to Utah to a small satellite conference, and there we learned a lot about the industry and that the problems that this project were created around don't actually apply to the commercial industry. And we also learned that that industry is very saturated already, so barrier to entry is very high. This left us with a tough decision of we either try and stay with our project and pivot to kind of scramble and make it work, or we kind of scrap the project. Because this was right near the end of Sigma, we decided to scrap the project because we didn't really want to grasp onto our original idea. Even though we knew that it wasn't very viable, we realized that it's important to be able to let go of some of your ideas if they're not turning out well. So my Sigma journey kind of started a couple of years ago on the RadSat-SK project. I was the mechanical engineering team lead. And so when that project wrapped up, the second iteration of that came around, and we needed a frame for the CubeSat. And I also needed to do a capstone project, so I thought, why not merge those two? So the project wasn't initially supposed to be entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial. So through the capstone project, we kind of didn't take the entrepreneurial side of it as seriously as we probably should have. And in the end, it kind of came back and bit us. So we did the project kind of backwards. We came up with the idea, we built the product, and then we did the business and market research. Whereas ideally, you would have the idea or problem, you'd look into the market, and then you'd build a product after that. So then when I was in Capstone, I got suggested to take the project into Sigma. I kind of wasn't sure about it at first because I really didn't know what to expect. In the end, I didn't have a job for the summer, so I thought, why not? Let's give it a shot. And I'm very glad I did. So when I was going into Sigma, again, I really didn't know what to expect. I kind of thought it was more of an online course-based project that you'd be doing. And then in my head, for building a business, I never really put a whole lot of thought into it. So the picture I had was you have an idea, you build a product for it, and then you sell. Kind of like Livestock Lens that said, we thought people would kind of just, if we have a good product, they'll come to us to buy it. And so in reality, Sigma was more of a self-guided program with a roadmap to help you through your journey. There's also 3 very knowledgeable mentors that we could reach out to and kind of lean on through our creating our business, which was very useful. We got access to the Collider space. If any of you have been there, it's a very nice collaborative workspace. And they also have a lot of networking events. So I got a lot of contacts there, and almost all of them had free food. So that's definitely a bonus. And so we got access to MIT Orbit, which is an AI tool, which really helped lay the groundwork for all the steps to building a business, just so we didn't get stuck on any of them, and we could really move along a lot faster than I would have expected to in 3 months. So looking back, again, I learned a lot more than I thought I would have in 3 months. It feels like it's been a lot longer than 3 months of work. I got a lot of collaboration and contacts and networking in, which I've learned a ton about business, entrepreneurialism, and just kind of a new way to look at problems and analyze if there's really a viable business behind them, or if they're just something too small that you can't really build something out of. And then I got a lot of experiences like the Small Stack conference that I mentioned earlier. I learned a lot about a industry that I've been very passionate about for the last few years, and got a lot of contacts there too. So I was very grateful for that experience as well. And then, so I worked on Sigma as full-time. I treated it kind of like a full-time job, and I'm very glad that I did that. It is possible to do it. You can do it as part-time, but I don't think that I would have gotten quite as much out of it if I had done part-time. So I'm glad I did full-time. So I'll pass it back to Jane to talk about his experience.
All right, so my first experience for Sigma started from a technical innovation class for G431 and G831 for graduate students. One of the instructor Tates told me there's an open house for G43831. There's a free pizza, so I just thought there's a free dinner for me. So like, why not? I just go there, right? That's my start point. During the open house, I hear every person who has business ideas about go work on the tech innovation class. Then each one of the idea was really, really interesting to me. Then I really want to work with them for one of the business idea. That's why I decided to register this course. Then I worked through 2024 winter term for G831. After that, unfortunately, my group was disbanded and not going to Sigma, but I still want to learn more about the entrepreneurship steps, 24 steps individually. So I asked the Tate and the Sigma instructor to, is there any way I can join Sigma without I'm personally having any business ideas? And then David introduced me to Tate, not Tate, sorry, Ryan. Ryan, and joined Ryan's project during this thing. So before joining Sigma, I had 3 problems in my mind. What the challenge is, or what I want to get from this Sigma is what skills can I get from this, and does those skills is needed as an engineer. And the second thing is what kind of people will be involved in this program, like students, instructor, and board member or mentors who's how do they give us the feedback on our project. And the last one is do I need this experience as an engineer?
Right.
And after this Sigma program, I got all of them. I'm glad I joined based on these questions. I learned a lot of networking, public speaking, and also, of course, entrepreneur steps based on the Orbit, which is the AI tools offered by MIT for entrepreneurship. And And for the people, we had all 4 members with the passionate students and also instructor and the mentors who has very well experienced in their own field. And they provided us very good feedback on each board meetings. And lastly, business development is, and also financial analysis is also kind of part of the job for engineers. So these all 3 are, I think I'm glad I take Sigma by getting all of those skills. And so overall, again, I'm really glad I joined Sigma. And for 2 advice for whoever is interested for the Sigma is don't worry about the project to be successful. I mean, successful is in many ways, but you do whatever you do, and if you have any problems, there's the mentors who's well experienced will give you very good feedback. So don't worry about it. And one time, David gave me a quote that this course is like not gonna grade you or fail you. So like this is a really self-guided course. The second one is once you join the Sigma, I would say you have to commit your time and work as much as possible on your project. So like when you want to get something out from program, I believe you have to commit to what you're doing. So our next step is there is generally 2 steps. One is the entrepreneur and one the engineer for us. And the entrepreneur is like if your idea goes well, or like you think you can start the business, you can go to entrepreneurship. But like for us, it's gonna be a engineering way. So like we learn the knowledge on from Sigma, then we can contribute that to wherever I work or we work in the future. Yeah, and that'll be it for our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thanks very much. This particular team is quite honorable in the sense that they have chosen that their idea wasn't viable and they weren't going to continue with it. And it takes a lot of courage. It's very, very difficult to give up your business baby. But it was really, really eye-opening, and we're hoping that this particular story resonates with everybody. Please do talk to us after the trade show. So our next group that we want to bring up is Prairie Aerospace. I'm going to let them explain why this.
Right.
So we are Cal Lab, formerly Prairie Aerospace. We went through a pretty aggressive pivot during our time at Sigma, and so we're gonna kind of get into the story of how we started and where we are now. But so these are our members. I'm Bolt Breakrights. This is Dylan Hosker and Nathan Sundelis, our software lead. Unfortunately, couldn't be here today. So, question for the audience. Who likes filling out paper? I see a few hands. So nobody likes filling out paperwork. I think that's kind of a universal thing, with the exception of a few. So during my undergrad, I have worked for a line painting, parking lot line painting contractor during the summer. And I can tell you, they don't like filling out paperwork. Some other things that are notable about this industry, drastic increase in the cost of labor and materials following COVID, which has drastically eaten into their profit margins. During my time, I noticed a 13% yearly increase in labor costs and a 15% yearly increase in material costs. Now, in order for managers to take back some of these profits, they need to make data-driven decisions. But if nobody's filling out the paperwork, they have no idea what's going on and where they can trim the fat. And so that's where our solution came in. We are using a hardware and a software solution to collect data and to automatically track material usage as well as hours of labor. This enhances efficiency, cost saving, and allows managers to make decisions on quotes and just general efficiency in their business.
So that's a quick look of what we're doing now, but let's have a look back of how we actually got here, because you heard we had a very aggressive pivot. So originally, Colton and I were a part of a project, as you heard about, RATSAT-SK, which was a project that sent Saskatchewan's first satellite basically to space. That was last year. And we learned a lot during this project. And we also had a lot of problems, including in the testing phase of our project. So this testing phase of our project had a lot of different issues with documentation, as well as Colton talked about, and also a lot of problems that were faced with a lot of different universities across Canada, basically. So to fix this problem, a university capstone project was formed, which was called FlatSat project, which basically developed a solution to solve this problem. And that solution looked like this. This solution was a combination of hardware and software, and this solution was basically made to automate the testing system for a satellite. So we joined Sigma to see if this idea was a viable business product for our development we made with this project. So you heard a lot about this framework we used during Sigma, which was called 24 Steps, and it was called Discipline Entrepreneurship. This allowed us to basically test our idea and see if it was viable for a business. And also, you heard about a SmallSat conference that Ryan and I attended, where we learned a lot. We got to talk to a lot of aerospace individuals and also test to see if our product would be good in the aerospace industry. So this basically conference we went to taught us a lot, and we learned a lot, including that the aerospace industry has a very high competition. The market is very saturated, and for our product, it's a very low total addressable market, which means we couldn't get a lot of money out of this product. So we took what we learned at SmallSat and the ideas about what we learned about our customer, and also basically the market insight we learned, and we tossed that idea out, and we went paint machines instead, which was an area that Colton had a lot of knowledge in, and our system worked very well to navigate to that area.
So some things that we really enjoyed about Sigma was the unique learning opportunity. So this is all of us at Ag in Motion. And though our product doesn't involve any ag tech, this was an amazing opportunity for us to develop some of the soft skills that you don't really get to develop in engineering. It also allowed us to kind of explore some ag technologies that we ended up taking some inspiration from for our pivot.
We also liked a lot of the tools and support we had during Sigma. So you heard a lot about Orbit, which was an AI tool, which we could put any business idea into it. And within a few seconds, it would tell us whether or not it's a good idea. It would probably also tell us like 24 steps of what we can follow to make the decisions whether or not to pursue an idea like this. So that was a very useful tool we had in this program that helped us out a lot.
The connections that we made in Sigma were also incredible. We had 3 board meetings, which gave us an opportunity to network with industry professionals as well as our mentors. Working out of Innovation Place also gave us access to other startup founders as well as those involved with incubators.
In this program, what we like about it a lot too is it tells you right away if entrepreneurship is right for you or not. And that's good. You don't fail if you don't like entrepreneurship. You learn a lot if you don't like entrepreneurship, and it helps you a lot to know if that's the decision you want to make in your future.
And so what would we do differently if we had to start Sigma again? Right at the start, David told us that one of the things that everybody regrets is that they didn't move fast enough. And I think that we definitely should have taken that more seriously. All the other teams kind of agree, reaching out to people, getting in front of customers is the most important. Don't be scared to send an email. Probably not bothering them. Also, don't be emotionally attached to your idea. I mean, you can have good ideas. The FlatSat and the Capstone was a good idea, and it's going to continue on through RATSAT. There's also interest from other universities such as U of A in New York. So within academia and within university projects, this idea will continue on. It's just that the market was so small that a business couldn't really survive on it. And lastly, focus on providing value rather than a product. As engineers, some of us kind of get caught with developing a product, but you need to develop a product that a customer will actually pay for and understand the things that they value most and will actually pay for. That's all.
Thank you very much. I just want to bring up our last three. So these first three teams were full-time teams. And this last team here, which is MeSafe, they approached this a little bit differently. These two young unfortunate lads did full-time work. And I think they burned up all of their evenings and their weekends trying to follow our platform. So WeSafe.
Yeah, so as David mentioned there, this is kind of throwing me off the feet. We're running with it though. Yeah, we weren't in exactly picture perfect examples of who should enter Sigma. A little bit about us. I'm Harrison. I am a computer engineering graduate, and professionally, I'm a project manager for a construction company in town here. And this is Ashton. He graduated from engineering physics with a dual degree in computer science, and he's also working full-time as a software developer. So our time is very heavily split between working and doing Sigma. But a little bit about our product. I'd just like everyone to take a moment and imagine that you're working in a mine with autonomous machines. You're wearing your proper PPE, you have your hearing protection on, you're focused on your task, and you don't notice the machine moving towards you. But the machine stops before it collides it. This is due to the integration of WeStop. So currently, within machinery, there are two sorts of emergency stops. There's the traditional emergency stop like you see on a table saw or any sort of machinery like that, where you manually press it and it's on the machine. This stops the machine and doesn't allow it to cause any death. And then there's also wireless emergency stops, which are on your person, but again, through the button you have to press. And like I kind of referred to here, they both require user input. Where WeStop is your invisible safety net, and it does this autonomously. How does it work? Well, it works in parallel with the existing emergency stop to allow for that button to still be pressed to stop the machine, or for WeStop to create this safety barrier, where you create a radius, we'll say, of an invisible safety zone, where once you enter the safety zone, the machine stops. And this is done with RF technology, which is radio frequency. So that's Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, anything like that, which is very important because WeStop works off of any RF-enabled device, whether that be your smartphone, your Apple Watch, an AirTag, anything like that. It's easily integrated as it works in parallel with the existing emergency stops. And it's also an adjustable exclusion zone, meaning that that safety zone that's made is adjustable for the machines that it's being applied to. So if it's a conveyor belt that it's within a meter, or something where it's creating debris that's flying, where a 10-meter radius is something that's more required. And something that's very important about this as well is it supplements the lockout-tagout practice. And if you're not aware of what the lockout-tagout practice is, when a piece of machinery is being worked on, it's mechanically locked out, so then the key is not able to be started or turned to start the machine. And with the integration of WeStop, the machine won't start even if that mechanical lockout-tagout fails. So with the potential of WeStop, it reduces paperwork. Like we heard, nobody likes doing paperwork, especially when it comes to safety incidents. there's less time lost due to the decreased amount of these safety incidences, and it creates a safer workplace, which leads to happier workers and an increased company culture. And like I said, it's easy to install and use, it's easy to maintain, and there's minimal training required, as it's something that works based off of the smartphone in your pocket, the watch on your wrist, a tile tracker, anything like that. And so now a little bit on our journey. So like David had said, or I don't know if David said it, but we're running with it. We started with a hackathon that was put on by IMII and SIMSA that was supported by USAF. We went into this with no ideas. We were kind of looking at it. Tate offered a 3% bonus if you participated, 5% if you won.
Definitely.
And yeah, the ideas in it, or the problems that were within the mining industry, kind of caught our attention. And we spent all night working on a solution. And then at 3 a.m, we didn't exactly finish the solution we were going on, and we landed on this. And then we took this into GE 431, where we further developed and pursued the concept. And then in between GE 431 and Sigma, we were actually pretty honored to be selected to present at Demo Day hosted by IMII. We were the first student group to ever present in this, and we were competing against large companies that have existed for, I think the youngest next to us was a 10-year company that was already well established. It was a pretty surreal experience. And then from that experience, we figured, okay, we probably have some potential here. So we went to Sigma to push the business side of the concept. And then kind of where we're at now and our next steps, right now on the hardware and software side of things, we're ready to start testing. And with my work, we have access to machinery that we'll be testing on. Well, like me and David were talking before, the construction season's going to be extended here, so it'll be pushed into the winter. But once our machines are kind of on the slowdown, we have access to machines to install on and then do testing on. And then with this testing as well, we also have early access to our first customer. And then we'll be looking to reach out to the equipment manufacturers rather than directly to the consumers. Well, consumers in a soft term, where it would be mining companies or the companies that would be using the machinery. So skip the middleman. And then once we're done our testing, implementing with our first customer, we'll be using what we learn to then improve our design and push it further. So now a little bit on to why we did Sigma. Well, we took it to learn. That was the big thing. We both took GE 431. We learned a lot from Tate, but we wanted to learn more about the business side of things. And through Sigma, this gives us access to many resources, including a couple more books. And then the big thing that we got from it was, like mentioned before, the MIT Orbit AI tool. This allowed us to put in any questions we had about the business, and it would spit out an answer. Kind of let us be a little introverted. We also wanted to gain some more insight. This was done through the people that are part of Sigma. I'm a little shaky. To the people that are a part of Sigma. So this is David, Tom, Tate, and then everyone else who would come to the boardroom meetings. This allowed us to get insight from people who have practical experience in industries that procure the products, support startups, or have done a startup. It gives critical insight on to what's needed to make it something viable. And then lastly, it was to be inspired. I'm sure everyone in this room has started a project, and then it's sat on the back burner, and then it dies. Nobody likes that feeling, and this was something to kind of keep us pushing, especially as we're starting full-time jobs. Like I said before, we're not the ideal people to be going in Sigma because we were starting our careers full-time jobs. But even with what time we had to give to Sigma and the effort we had to put towards it, we were able to keep this product moving, and it's going to continue thriving into the winter, and then hopefully after that,
And the benefits of Sigma, the number one, like everyone seemed to have mentioned, is the MIT Orbit. It was huge. It skips all that paper pushing that you have to do, and it gives you answers right away. It might not be exact answers, but it's somewhere to get you started. And then the industry context. Like Alex said, talking to people, kind of scary for engineers. But through Sigma, you kind of get directly given the people to talk to. And this opens up a big doorway for everyone. And then again, the insight from experienced professionals, the people in the boardroom meetings are amazing to talk to. It doesn't really matter if you have an idea or you know what your idea is about, they'll be able to point you in the right direction and get you on your way. And then it gives you more of an in-depth thinking about business concepts. This is something that is not really taught in the engineering college, but this gives you the chance to pursue an entrepreneurial idea. And then finally, if we were to do it all again, we'd understand the time commitment. It's a lot of time that you have to spend doing this. It's not a waste of time, but it is a lot of time, and there's a lot to be learned about entrepreneurial activities. And then also realizing when a concept has merit. For us, we kind of just kept stumbling into greatness, I would say, for lack of a better term. We'd keep thinking, is this good? Is this bad? And then someone would talk to us and say, hey, how's this going? Blah, blah, blah. And then it would rekindle that spirit inside of you to keep pushing. And then also realizing how easy it is to reach out to people. You can contact pretty much anyone in any industry with an email, and finding their email is very easy. Most of the time, they respond. Might not be the response you're looking for, but it gets your foot in the door to create that line of communication. But I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight and listen to me ramble on.
Thank you, Dave. You can never tell if this was actually a group of engineers because almost every one of them went over time. So it's amazing. They're actually not scared of talking anymore. The next part of our program, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce some of our alumni. So one of the things about being inside of this program, inside of Sigma, is that you can exit the program, but you can never leave.
Okay.
So what we want to do is we want to bring up two. First one is Kapil Kawandal, and he's going to give us an update on his company, Nutrimate. So, Kapil? Just wait. Somebody discretion. Before we actually applaud for this young man, Kapil has something very, very unusual that just happened to him today.
I would then
Oh, you will? Oh, I was going to make it a big applause.
maybe they can do when it.
Okay. Well, what we'll do is hopefully come on in. Kapil. He's got some news for us.
Hi everyone. Am I audible enough? Yeah, I'm CEO and founder of Nutrimate. So as David was telling, I was a PhD student just 5 minutes ago when I walked into the room. And now I just defended my PhD thesis. So I'm no longer a student. So you can imagine, after 3-hour-long grilling session, I didn't really prepare for this session. So somebody should tell me the time if I'm over the time. So I'll talk briefly about my journey at Sigma. So we actually made 3 pivots during our Sigma program. We were first the personal health nutrition management app. Then we realized that it didn't have a lot of market. Then we pivoted into medication management for senior citizens home. Then we again made a pivot, and then we finally landed it for AI for pharmacies. So in every board meeting, we had a totally different company, and it was totally customer discovery driven company. And we didn't even have a product till the time we secured our first funding round. So I'm also happy to announce that we are now a funded company. And in terms of our product development, in a couple of months, we're going to have our MVP ready. And then we already have 50 plus customers. And like Sigma program really helped me to understand that it's not really about the idea or the product. It's really about the execution.
And entrepreneurship is something which you can learn, and you don't need to figure out everything at start. But as you move forward, you'll learn new things, you'll identify your gaps. And trust me, till today, we use those frameworks which were provided in Sigma and still talk to all of the mentors, David, Tate, Amit, on regular basis. And these guys really help us out. And in terms of like the future plans, we are also expanding into different sectors. And one thing I want to tell you that as an entrepreneur, you should focus more on the value creation, and everything can be customer driven. So because customer has all the answers, so just follow the money and don't really focus too much on the product, because as an engineer, we tend to be biased towards the tech and the product itself. But as an entrepreneur, I learned that you don't really need to do that. And second thing, as a PhD student, we were taught to be like, 3 decimal point precise. But as an entrepreneur, you don't need to like find the answers to all the questions, and like just take the informed decision. Don't be afraid of making mistakes, because you can anyway like redo next thing. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it from my side. Thanks everyone.